One more good point about the material being separated in two parts, like it is here, the rooks versus a queen, is the possibility of the side which has the rooks to combine their efforts against one pawn and to take it no matter how the other side is defending it. Then, whenever the rooks are taking that pawn, say that the queen is defending it, the queen will take back, but at the end of the day, the two rooks will win a pawn for the queen, plus the queen, whenever we are trading this. If the pawn structure is good for us, this will lead to a one endgame, pawn endgame, and also if the pawns are equal, we would be winning a pawn. The sample that I chose for you is the game between Sashikirian against Ho Yufan from the Gibraltar Masters 2012. 2012, Sashikirian played here rook e5, attacking the pawn on h5. Obviously, Ho Yufan will have to defend that pawn. She did it with g6. Now rook f4, and the rooks are getting ready to attack the pawn on f7. Ho reacted with queen d7. Now rook e3. The idea is to double the rooks on the f file and try to take it. Ho defended the pawn with king g7, rook e to f3, creating a threat of going into pawn endgame. Obviously, the Chinese player didn't want to push the pawn on f5 in this situation because she considered that her back ranks are going, her 7th rank especially, and the 8th rank are going to be extremely weak, and there is always a danger of creating a mating attack with the rooks. But this was the only hope that she had in this situation, because the thing that she chose in the game, queen d5, the move, was actually losing, as the rising pawn endgame appears to be one for white. The reason is that this pawn is tapping two pawns, the one on b4, so practically on the other side of the board, white is having an extra one, 3 versus 2. So Shikirian took, sorry, he didn't take first on f7, it was a bit too early for him to do this, as if he takes on f7 at once, after queen f7, rook takes f7, king takes f7 and king g2, this king is too far away from the square of the b pawn. Black will play a5, and after that she will also promote a queen. It would be a queen for a queen, and this endgame should be a draw, even though white has an extra pawn, but the pawns are on the same flank. This should be a theoretical draw. But the good technique was demonstrated by Sashikirian. He played rook f6 in the game. Sorry, queen d5, rook f6. The best move, not only attacking this pawn, but also making sure that the pawn on f7 will never move away, and winning an important tempo to bring the king to the center. Now, king g8 was probably the last chance for black, but she played queen a2 instead, even though king g8 shouldn't really save the game after, say, king to g2, queen e4, rook takes f7, queen takes b4. We will be reaching a position that we have discussed before, when this king is very weak, and it can be attacked along the 7th and the 8th ranks. So therefore, most likely this is also a lost position, even though there are some tactical chances remaining for black, for some perpetual, for some double attack with the queen. Anyway, she played queen a2 in the game, and after queen a2, king g2, king g8. The king is already close enough. It is in the square of the b pawn, and this is the good moment to take the one on f7, and this is the thing that we were talking about. The two rooks can coordinate the efforts and win a pawn, like it is in that case. Rook takes f7, queen takes f7, rook takes f7, king takes, king f3, the king is marching into the center, and white went on to win after king e6, king e4, king d6, f3, king c6 was played. It's not a big difference. If the king goes on e6, white will first play king d4, subtle move, and after the king goes away from the king's side pawns, then g4 would be the winning idea, taking away the sting of this breakthrough. Here the king is too far away, and white is the one who promotes first. Well, after f3, king c6, g4 was played, king c7, g takes h5, g takes h5, f4, sorry, king c7 was played here, not king to d6. It's not a big difference. It's the same thing after f4, king d6, now f5, king d7, king e5, king e7, f6 check, and this is where the game ended. Black cannot afford, cannot allow that pawn to go on the 7th rank, because if this pawn goes on the 7th rank, say after king f7, king f5, king e8, the pawn will come here, then white will stalemate her opponent. She will have to play e5, and the a pawn will be promoted with a check, or even if she is not forced to be stalemated, that pawn on the 8th rank is promoted with check, and this is enough for the win, of course. And finally, the king, after king f5, black starts to advance this pawn immediately with a5. Then the problem for the second play is that white is not promoting the pawn. Actually, this should be also enough for win, because then we have forced checkmate, but there is a choice. The king can come and take the b pawn first, and then to promote this one. It is in the square of the pawn, but of course, like we said, this is not a win, as the pawn will be promoted with a check. So yes, then if this is not a win, then we will have to go for the line with king e4, where the king is coming into the square of the pawn, and the pawn will decide the game. So remember, if you have the two rooks, one of the ideas to win the game is to try to bring them together, to attack one of the enemy pawns, and to take it for free.